Hey everyone, welcome to Checkpoint Achieved, episode 17. On today's show, we're doing things a little bit differently than what we do on the weekly podcast, as Gage is away currently in Hawaii. We still wanted to get his opinions. I wanted to give my opinions on Xbox One, the reveal that was yesterday at the Microsoft conference. We decided to do things, though, in a bit of a different format, as we phoned in to talk to Gage from Hawaii on Skype, got his call in, but we decided to do a couple other ones like this as well to get opinions from people, and didn't do a normal in-studio show, so things are a little bit different in that aspect, a little bit shorter as well, but we'll be back to our normal ways next week. But yeah, we'll start off with our call to Gage here and see what he thought of the next Xbox. Alright, so as promised, we are phoning Gage now from Hawaii, and we're going to get his opinions on what he thinks of the next Xbox, now called Xbox One. First off, how's your trip going?
It's going pretty good. It's warm here. I'm very burnt.
And the conference was like at 7 a.m. or something like that?
Yeah, 7 a.m. here. So I had to get up early. Which is, actually, I was getting up early anyways, because I'm still, not switched over time-wise.
Definitely. But what did you think of it? Because I don't know if everybody knows this specifically, but we kind of talked about, not necessarily allegiances or anything like that, but our home consoles and stuff. And in a lot of ways, your console for this generation and the last generation as well has been the Xbox, right? You've been a Microsoft... you've been in their integral kind of Xbox Live, you've been a part of all those things, so this has probably been a pretty big event just to see what they're going to unveil. What was your opinions on what's been showed off at this press conference?
It was good, but it was a little underwhelming compared to the Sony conference.
So yeah, it was a little bit different as well because they were doing a live actual broadcast on Spike TV. You could also watch it on Twitch as well. And this gave people a couple different options to watch this, but at the same time, too, it was a little bit more streamlined, a lot less detail into certain parts of it specifically. But let's start off with the name. What do you think of Xbox One?
It's just, I don't know, why that name? It's weird.
I was a bit surprised by it because I thought, okay, the two ones that we did predictions, and we'll get to predictions in a second for what we thought were going to be shown off here. But kind of the two that I was residing with is it's either going to be just called Xbox.
Yeah, the Xbox or something like that.
Or Xbox Infinity, kind of tying into Windows 8, Xbox Infinity, same sign. Those kind of seem like the ways that they're going to be leaning. But Xbox One was something that actually I think a lot of people did not see coming.
No, I didn't hear any people throwing out, it's going to be called Xbox One.
Yeah, and it was a bit surprising. I think the thing that they're shooting with that, though, is that this is the all-in-one type of console. This is your entertainment hub. And they did do
this is your TV, your Netflix, your everything.
Yeah, and they did do this kind of when they announced the Xbox 360, but obviously times have changed. There's a lot more actual things that people use now. Multimedia has really grown, so integrating everything into a single console is a lot easier now, and there's a lot more potential for that. So you were actually saying this when we were talking previously, was that the first 30 minutes or so of this presser, which was an hour long, was pretty much dedicated to everything non-gaming. And they talked about the whole entertainment aspect of the next Xbox, the Kinect, and also the hardware too. And what were your thoughts on that? Are these things interesting to you? Do they look like they're drastic improvements for someone that might not necessarily be majorly into the gaming aspect of the Xbox 360, but more into the entertainment stuff?
It was pretty cool. It was something I could see my dad, who still watches TV and has the PVR and stuff, would like. With the looking at the stuff and your favorites. The one thing I really thought was cool was that the Fantasy League, when they throw it up the basketball game.
Yeah, having it so that you can actually, I forget what they were calling it, but they were showing, with the Kinect, they were showing different motions that you could actually use, and different opportunities that you could take while you're watching stuff to either say, I'm watching this movie right now, but I want to, see what the score is in the game, going over and just saying, sports game, I don't know what it was exactly, but they were saying, watch NBA game, and it flicked over to the NBA game, he could check that out. And then also having it so that you could split the screen a bit, where he had a Skype call going on at one point while he was watching the game, and the other thing he was doing too was he was also checking out his Fantasy League, and it was updating at the same time as well, which are all kind of neat features that were more entertainment based.
Yeah, I'm not a Fantasy League guy, but that made me want to start a Fantasy League.
Yeah, it seemed like it was a lot more streamlined, it looked pretty neat, at least from my perspective, in regards to, just kind of making this console something that they're really talking about how you don't need to have all these extra things laying around. You don't need your phone here, this, that, and the other thing. Just use your Xbox One, and it'll be that all-in-one type of entertainment hub for you. But before we move on to really kind of the more meatier stuff about the games, there wasn't a massive amount to talk about here, but I wanted to actually talk about the console specifically and the controller. Now, and even the Kinect 2, they came out right out of the gate, said this is Xbox One, here's our controller, here's our console, and here's the new Kinect. First off, controller, what are your thoughts on that? It looks a little bit more bulkier, kind of like a hybrid between the Xbox controller and the Xbox 360 controller.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
What are your thoughts on that? Does it look good? Did you like what they did with the D-pad? Because the D-pad is kind of one of those things that people have said wasn't that great on the 360. Obviously, we don't have it in our hands, so we can't say for sure. But does it look good, or were you a little bit disturbed by the changes that they did make?
It looked good. I don't know. I can't really get it's hard to know if I'm going to like the controller until I have it in my hands, right?
That's
but
fair.
I liked the way it looked. It looked sleek. And I liked the D-pad looked better. I want to hear what's happening with those triggers. What were they called?
Pressurized triggers, they were saying. And specifically, you're supposed to be able to actually kind of change them to what you want. Like, how much do you, like, when you're pressing these buttons, how do you want them to feel? You can actually, supposedly, change them to be what you want them to be. Which sounds to me like a pretty cool feature, but the actual look of them was something that I felt like was a step back. I don't know, like, again, not feeling it, not too sure. It looked a little bit more clunky, but if it's actually pressurized, that could be really cool, depending on how that works. Batteries, still. It's 2013, and
batteries.
Still using batteries.
I don't know. They'll be I'll get one of those charge and play packs on like day 2, so it'll be fine.
I thought it was funny though, just from my perspective on that. It was like
batteries.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I don't know. There's a couple of features on both consoles that from the PS3 and the 360 that were just like now look so archaic, but they were just kind of like, well, we're not going to change this right now. And that was one of those things I was like, oh, they're going to probably do something. No, still batteries. They got a backdoor deal with Duracell, so they can't stop that. Okay, so yeah, I guess we don't really need to talk about the Kinect that much specifically.
There's also the smart glass. They're pushing that kind of too.
But before the smart glass, console specifically. Now, I think we're a little bit differing on our opinions. I actually, just to give my opinion on the controller, I think it looks pretty cool. Again, gotta feel it. I think that's the big thing with the controllers. I'm not sold on any controllers yet until it's actually in my hands that I can say yes. But the console, you liked how it looked? What was your thoughts on the display and kind of the design of what they're doing with the next Xbox One console?
It was a sleek box that looked a little bit bulky, but I don't really care what it looks like. Yeah,
I think we actually got into this too when we've been talking in the past, that it's just a box, right? So, I mean, my one thing I will say is, I don't think it looks like, just from a design standpoint, I don't think it's amazing, just because of the fact that it does look quite large. I respect the fact, though, that they're doing a lot of things to really make the experience, like that all-in-one experience that they keep kind of pushing with the talk that they're doing there. I think that's, totally fine that it is bigger, but I found it funny because we went from, I think the PS3 was a pretty bulky console, but the 360 when it came out was actually pretty sleek compared to, the original Xbox. And it felt like it was going back and, there was talk of it being, hey, the VCR is back, that type of design that's,
I heard a lot of those jokes.
Yeah, the big black box. I still think, though, you're right. I like the design. Some people weren't really into this, but it's kind of like a half and half, where it changed its design type from one side of the console looking pretty much just flat black to a more shiny metallic on the other side of it as well. That was kind of cool, but, so you were saying about the smart glass. They're talking about the integration of that as well. Do you have any tablets that would specifically be able to be used with this, or is this kind of another feature?
My phone works with it.
Okay.
But it works now with like the Xbox 360. Yeah. But all I really use it to do is like open my disc tray when I'm too lazy to go to the dashboard. Yeah. So, that's really all I use that for now. So I don't see what I'm going to use it for then.
Fair enough. It doesn't seem like it's something that could be I'm just going to get into what I feel regarding that. I feel like there's some of these things that they talked about that were really neat, and for certain people, I think they could actually be sellers of this console. Like, yeah, that's awesome. We're talking about the fantasy aspect for the actual watching your fantasy football team or whatever, and then seeing your actual stats on the side. For someone who's really into that, that might just be a selling point. Like, okay, buying this now because that's awesome. Yeah. But a lot of these things didn't necessarily speak to me as a gamer that I use certain, I use consoles for a number of different things, but usually I, stick to watching YouTube videos and doing other stuff on my computer. I don't need to use this as a major entertainment hub, and
yeah, it's easier on a computer.
Yeah, I don't know, like, that's the part that I'm actually more excited to see how this is going to actually integrate, because I feel like some of that stuff is them trying to push their brand onto people to get them interested more into their ecosystem, right? But, the actual sticking rate of that, how many people are actually going to use the Xbox for a cable outlet? Are people going to watch TV on this Xbox? Stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so they didn't talk that much about the actual TV aspect. They didn't talk about subsidies. Those are two things that they didn't really dive into regarding this. But I'm still thinking that there's going to definitely be more talk about that going ahead in the future. They did show off some games, though. And the first games that they came out with is just an array of EA Sports titles, which, again, they're, showing this to Spike TV, this big core audience, well, not core audience, like a Main Street audience, and they, got right around to showing off these new sports games with the HDs and the graphics and all that jazz. You don't play sports games that much, right? So that wasn't really...
I play a couple of them, and it's not very often. It's not something I get really into. It's have you at a friend's house? They're really fun to play that way. Mm-hmm. And anyone can enjoy them that way, but it's not something I follow heavily.
Yeah, and I do my content on my channel for FIFA and NHL, so I was actually interested in watching this, and the one thing I will say to everybody that is listening to this, do not take that trailer for real gameplay, because they did something very similar back when the Xbox 360 and the PS3 were coming out. They showed up like this trailer of Madden, where like, this is the future of games and, blah, blah, blah. And games still don't look as good as that trailer when it came out. So I would, highly hold back your excitement for these titles until they actually, show real gameplay for them. But I'm excited to see what next gen games look like, because you know what, when I play football right now, or when I play FIFA right now, the crowds are like these cardboard cutouts still and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see like how they're going to immerse the actual game and make it look more real, because it's always fun to see that. But yeah, besides from that, they showed off this game called Quantum Leap as well, and not too much regarding this, but they also dived into the fact that they're going to be having 15 exclusive titles coming out for the next Xbox, which was probably one of the biggest sticking points of this conference.
8 of them are new, I believe.
Yeah, and that's really big for them, I think, and probably one of the most exciting things that they talked about the whole conference, right? Even though they didn't dive into that much, they showed off Quantum Leap, which looks interesting. We don't know that much about it. And besides from that, they also showed off the TV services that they have. We kind of talked about that a bit, but the new Halo series, and Steven Spielberg is kind of involved with it. I didn't really know how to read that specifically, but for a Halo fan, does that seem interesting to you, or?
I watched that Halo Forward Unto Dawn stuff when Halo 4 was coming out, and it was interesting, but it's hard to make those Spartans and those, like, especially the Spartans, look not cheesy. Mm-hmm. It's, I'll be interested in seeing it, but I don't think it's something that's gonna, like, be a huge success.
Yeah. I'm, again, like I said, that's not something that really appeals to me, but it's interesting to kind of hear from you regarding that, because it is Halo, and, I think it was, they weren't showing off Halo 5, but they were, trying to keep those people interested and say, hey, this is coming, you can check out this TV series, and you're gonna have all this Halo stuff coming in the future as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had that, and then they finished off, remind me if I'm missing anything here. I'm trying to go over the basics. Then we'll talk about our predictions, how they turned out, and a couple other things that happened after the conference. But the final game that they showed off was Call of Duty Ghost. And they talked about it and talked about how there's going to be exclusive DLC content coming out first for the next Xbox One. It's going to take a while to keep saying that. And that's something that you were saying that's a pretty big deal, because that keeps that contract in lock. And, the big fans of Call of Duty are going to still get their content right away before everybody else, right?
Yeah. I mean, that was already a deal that's been in place since, like, Call of Duty 4, I believe.
Yeah, and it's nothing new, but it's something that they keep and they continue with, so...
Which is smart of them.
Yeah, besides from that, they also showed off gameplay, and, well, not really gameplay, they showed off trailers, some stuff regarding that. It was... There was no, like, specific, like, this is us playing, but they showed off some pretty interesting stuff. I liked the character faces, I liked all the animations and stuff like that. Biggest moment of the whole conference for me, though, like I said before, was the fact that they showed off mocap dogs, and dogs, and, like, this dog, they actually, like, with the whole camo outfit on, I was crying in my seat. I'm like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. Yeah, so that was what I took away from the next game, Call of Duty Ghosts, is that I must play this because there's
motion captured dogs.
And dogs in camo. So, I mean, those are two things that are must-haves in the next generation of consoles. Must have your dog animated in mocap, or else it's just not a game, right? It's not even worth playing. Okay.
This is now a staple of the Call of Duty franchise.
The guys at Assassin's Creed 4 or Assassin's Creed team said that they unfortunately were not able to mocap their sharks in their game. So, I mean, I guess that is a little bit harder, but yes, I expect all games now to have mocap dogs and mocap fish too, for a fact. Okay, so we have predictions before the show, and let's go over them now. Oh, okay. Wow, okay, I missed one completely here. Forza 5 coming out. And that'll be coming out as a launch title, apparently. So we saw a trailer for that too. I knew I was missing something. That's why I was like, if you know anything I'm missing, let me know. It was Forza 5. That was one of my predictions. It turns out there's actually a Forza game coming out, and it's gonna be, a next gen game. They showed a trailer for that too, and again, no actual specific gameplay. It looked like in-game assets though, and obviously car porn, right? So it shows off all the graphics and makes it look pretty good too. My other prediction was that they're going to reveal the box, and they did not waste any time in doing that. They just got right down to the dirty business. Streaming using Twitch, though, that was something that I thought they were going to do. I really thought that they were going to follow in the footsteps of what Sony were doing. And I'm actually happy that they didn't, because not necessarily in a sense that I wanted one to do it and one not to do it just for the basis of wanting one to succeed, but more in the fact that I actually want variety in my consoles. You know, there's so much similarities between the PS3 and the 360 this generation that if they can do different things for me, if the Xbox One will be able to be this entertainment hub, meanwhile the PS4 is going to be more of a gaming-oriented thing that can also do more live streaming and sharing of your content. Those are two different type of platforms for me, which actually makes them unique and different than PCs as well. So even though I got that one wrong, or at least it seems like so, they haven't delved into that yet. They might in the future. So I went 203.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's better than me.
You did alright too, though. You went for Halo 5 logo. You should have just said there will be Halo, and then
Halo,
you would have got the Halo TV series. But yeah, they didn't show off Halo 5. I think that was just my opinion. I think it was a little bit too soon because it was just this fall that they
did release Halo 4.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I don't think they'll show it on E3 either. I think they're gonna wait a year, and then they could be like, you know, this is coming out pretty soon. Because they could have a 2-year cycle on that, but I think pushing like a year and a half would be a bit tight on that.
Especially because it's just one studio working on the Halo franchise.
And you also said Connect in the Box, which is something that they did not spend any time, avoiding. They went to that right away, saying that every Xbox One will have a Connect inside it. So you got that one right there. And the other one that I think that you might get right, but they did not talk about, was the subsidy on consoles. And this is one of the things I kind of wanted to quickly talk about too, is that they did not delve into this that much, but I'm thinking that this is definitely going to be a feature because they're going to have the cable connections to what this console is going to be. And if this console is going to be expensive, they need some way to get the people interested, right? They need some way to be like, this is only $200 if you do this 2-year deal.
No one wants to buy a $600 cable box.
Yeah, I mean, the one question I want to ask you though is, how much do you think this console will be if just as is? Like, if they do, like, they'll probably do a subsidy thing. I'm still on board with your idea there, even though they didn't say it right now. What price point do you think would be the non-subsidized version of that?
I think it'll be probably $100 more than the Xbox 360 when it first came out.
Yeah.
At least. And that would just be probably for inflation.
That's true, right? I mean, I think like that would be $499 then, because
Yeah.
the 360 came out at $399. I think $499 is actually my guess as well. I hopefully I just don't see them going at $399. That seems like
That's low, it seems.
especially with the amount of stuff that they're doing there. So I think $499 has to be the sweet spot. Maybe $450. I think if they go above $500, they start playing in dangerous territory.
Yeah, that was the PS3's big problem when it
Yeah.
came out, is that it was so expensive.
If you say $599 there, then you're really starting to burn
Pushing
bridges.
You're really starting to push it at
Yeah,
$5.99.
no, definitely. So yeah, they did that there. COD exclusive, no. That was a long shot one that we went for there. And Banjo-Kazooie, no. But hopefully...
I dreamed up the perfect way they could reveal that too.
Okay, pitch it to me.
Okay, so this is the opening of the conference. Black screen. You just see a Rare logo in the background slowly coming closer, and just the banjo music playing the whole time.
And they throw the console out too, and and we're going to be coming out to the Xbox One, and then, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, there you go.
Conference over.
Conference over. They didn't even need to do anything else. If you just told me it's called Xbox One, this is what it looks like, and here's Banjo-Kazooie, that would have probably done more for me than everything else they did in that hour. Yeah, so those are our predictions, and I think that there's room for those to change as well, but that's pretty much where those lay right now. And a couple of the other things I wanted to talk about is it's not going to be backwards compatible. They've announced that after the fact.
Yeah, I saw that, which that's kind of a bummer, but I don't know. I'm not going to be getting my Xbox One and being like, oh yeah, great, time to play some Call of Duty 4.
I think with that said, we already knew that the PS4, that this was going to be something that they were going to do. I think that people were kind of holding out hope that they might do that for the Xbox. They might have backwards compatibility, but it also makes a lot of sense that they're not, because these are new systems. They're going to have new hardware in them doing a lot of different things. And
and you can always play those old games on your Xbox.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's the thing that you got to kind of pull from that too. It's not something that you can just straight up say, oh, well, I'll never be able to play those again. You still have your console right now. So I don't think that's going to be a major dropping point for them. And the other thing too that I wanted to kind of talk about was the mandatory game installs, which they were talking about.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Which essentially would be, you put your game in, you install your game, right? But what that would do if you actually did that is that you wouldn't have to put your game in after the fact. It would be on your hard drive. But if you had your disc still and you wanted to go to another Xbox in the future, and probably another Xbox account, what would happen is that you need to actually pay a fee in order for it to be activated onto that account as well. And again, you would be able to play the game without the disc, but that would also mean too that you would have to pay like a $10 fee to get that started up again. There's not enough details on this to really know for sure. But the thing that I'm interested from this is, what if your console breaks down, right? Is it connected to your actual name? And I think that makes a lot of sense with it actually connected to your name. If you give it to someone else, does it not work on your console anymore? That's the other thing that was kind of my...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, because if say Far Cry 4 comes out and then my buddy buys it and I'm like, I'm kind of broke right now, but I got $10, so why don't you pass me your disc and I'll install it, and I don't have to pay, the $50 extra I would be paying to buy it new.
Like that seems like it could be an actual step around, if anything, but then it also might go back. I don't know. It seems like there's a little bit of a kind of, murky water there when it comes to this. The other thing too is, if I have my account on my Xbox One and then I have a brother that also plays these games too, does he need to pay the $10 to play it on his account, right? I think that... Or what
if I just disconnect from Xbox Live? Is it going to be able to tell that I've already used this disc? Or?
So there's a lot of and ifs or buts there. So I won't talk too much about that anymore, and I know you're have a busy day ahead of you, so I will let you go now. But before we leave off, I just wanted to get your final opinions on the conference and kind of your expectations going forward for the console going into E3 in a couple weeks.
I think E3 is where I'm really going to be looking for the Xbox. This was kind of like a teaser for E3.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we're going to see the games. I think what's that studio? It's like Black Elephant that's working on
Black Tusk, I believe, is the name of the...
Black Tusk. That's working on apparently like a AAA title game. So I'm pretty sure they'll do something with that at E3, which would be cool to see.
Yeah, we'll definitely get a good idea, I think, with games like Black Tusk's reveal at E3, where this console is really going to be in the fall, what type of games are going to be coming out for it, and definitely know a little bit more to where the fans stand regarding their interest for this next-gen console. But until we find out more about that and in future podcasts, I'll leave you to the beaches of Hawaii. Enjoy your trip, and we'll see you on the show next week.
Okay, yeah, see ya.
Right.
Good talking to you.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Alright, so those are thoughts from Gage there, and he'll be back on the show next week. As I said, we'll be doing the regular show next week once again. But until then, though, we got a little bit more to delve into here. We decided to call up a couple extra people, a couple fellow YouTubers that had their opinions in regards to the Xbox One. But unfortunately, due to actual issues with connecting of Skype and also losing a call on a whole conversation, we weren't able to get them actually on the show. So I decided, you know what? I got someone here in my own household that knows a bit about games, and he's on the other side of the fence, so I follow games quite heavily. I'm talking about my brother, who plays video games, but is more of a casual gamer. I thought, you know what, why not? We'll have him on the show for the first time and see what he thought of Xbox One. Alright, so we got an idea of what Gage thinks of Xbox One, but we want to also get some other opinions as well. Actually, I brought my brother in here. He's never been on the podcast, but I thought I'd get a different opinion. He doesn't know maybe as much as some of the people that we normally have on the podcast about video games, but it's very interesting to hear the broad perspective on people's opinions regarding such things as this. So I'd like to welcome Landon to the show today.
Hello.
And yeah, we'll start off right away. You didn't see the conference live, right?
No.
But what I did is I showed you kind of the basics. We went through a 5-minute, summary of what went on and looked at all the big trailers for the games and stuff like that. What was your main impression from all the footage I kind of showed you regarding the next Xbox called Xbox One?
Well, starting off with like Xbox One, my opinion on that is...
The name you're talking about, or?
Yeah, like, no, not like the name, but the stuff that people want to play like in games, but there was the controller, and I think that was like really cool.
You liked how they changed the controller a bit there?
Yeah.
So, kind of what you're taking from it is at least that from what they showed, they didn't really show that much about actually like what the games would have to do with the console, right? One of the main things, they did talk about games, but they didn't talk about games on a massive account when they were doing this presentation on Spike and on Twitch. A lot of stuff they were talking about was kind of the integration between, being able to watch your TV show and then also be able to do other stuff on the side. You can also, browse the internet, do different stuff like that. Does that interest you, or is that something that you wouldn't really use if you had the next Xbox? Or Xbox One, that is.
Well, the thing is, like, there's already Apple TV, there's already some stuff on PlayStation 3, like Netflix, and I think they should keep it at that point, because Apple TV has the Thunder right now, kind of, in a way, but this is good. This is also going to be pretty big because of how you can, like, just grab onto it and then, whoop,
yeah,
bye-bye.
That's true. And you're right in a way, like, I think that Xbox 360 is already a bit of a hub, so I'm just deciphering what you're saying there, but you're trying to say at least that they didn't need to go to the lengths of making all this other stuff more impactful. Because they're actually going to have their own TV series and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're going to be going to that point. They're trying to do that. So you can, check stuff out on your PlayStation, your Xbox, and like you're saying, Apple TV is a very good source for watching TV if you don't have cable right now. But those are all things that, offer these services already. And it seems like they're going to the next level regarding the Xbox One. But in regards to the controller, you said you like that part. What do you think about the Kinect? Now, I wanted to share a couple things regarding the Kinect because you didn't get to see all the things about the Kinect. The Kinect is actually supposed to be a lot better than the original Kinect. It's actually able to read your heartbeat now. You're going to be able to play in the dark. You can play in the light. You can actually be a lot closer to the TV too than the original Kinect as well. Remember how we had troubles with the Kinect setting it up? And, we'd have to move the couch out of the way to play the Kinect when we had the Kinect back in the day.
Yeah.
This is supposed to kind of eradicate a lot of those things and hopefully make it a bit easier for people to program and make games for the Kinect. Or they're just calling it the Kinect, they're not calling it the Kinect 2, but the next iteration on the Kinect. Are you interested in motion gaming in that way? is the Kinect something interesting to you? If they've made changes, made it better, would that be exciting to you to play games like that?
That would be pretty exciting because the Kinect in general is actually really fun when you play like the games that you like in general, and this is like almost even better for me.
Yeah. So, but is it like, 'cause it's hard to explain. Do you like playing those games with friends, or are they more like games you like playing by yourself? Because I think that you play certain games like Minecraft or something, you wouldn't want to use Kinect for that, right?
Mhm.
But there's something along the lines of maybe like a fun game you can play as a party game that you'd like to see that maybe be a bit better, and then that would be really cool to kind of have that.
Yeah.
So besides from that, you saw the console as well, and the name. I want to ask you about the name too. What do you think of Xbox One as the next name for the next Xbox?
Well, in the first place, I thought it was going to be called Xbox 720, not
That was your guess, 720?
Yeah.
There was 720 floating around, and Xbox Infinity was the other big name. It blew me away too. Or actually, the other one as well was Xbox, just calling it Xbox, but they chose to call it Xbox One. What do you think of that name? Do you think that's a name that will stick? And also, too, when you're talking about that with your friends, do you think they'll understand Xbox One as like a name that, you know, is the next Xbox One?
Well, I have a friend that plays actually Xbox a lot, and I don't know what he would actually say about that.
Yeah.
So.
But I'm just saying, did you like the name overall? Was that an interesting thing for you, or was that something that you're like, oh, why did they call it that?
Yeah, I kind of was like, in a way, why'd they call it that? Because they were going like Xbox 360, like, I forget all of the Xbox names.
There's been Xbox, the original Xbox was called Xbox, and there's been Xbox 360. So there's only been two. Now they're going back and calling it Xbox One. So
I thought they were going to like go with 460 or something.
Just keeping the trend going, the 720 type of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, that's fair enough. So let's finish up here, and this is in regards to the games that they show, because they didn't show a lot of games. What do you think of the games that they did show? First off, the EA Sports games.
Well, from what I saw, like, Brian even pointed it out for me a little bit more. The graphics, weren't actually real for the trailers, which really disappointed me.
Well, we don't know for sure. Let me back up here because we've gone over them a bit more, and I look back at original, like I think it was Madden 2006, how they showed those trailers out there were obviously CG trailers at the time saying this is what the game's going to be like, and then it ended up that we don't have games looking that good now, and that was like 7 years ago. So I was just saying to be apprehensive of it, and the other thing too to kind of know as well is that they showed the actual like collision physics and stuff like that with the models, and they looked way different than the ones that were shown in the trailer. But yeah, sorry, go ahead, continue with that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was gonna say.
Yeah, but so there's that I'm excited for next gen sports games, but I'm also apprehensive. I want to see them in gameplay, not the CG trailers. What about Quantum Leap? That was the one I showed you. He has a quizzical look on his face right now. The one with the TV tie-in, and then it went to like the ship crashing into the bridge.
Oh, I still don't really get that game.
Yeah, there's not really much to go on yet, is there?
No.
Halo TV series, is that interesting as well?
Yeah, I think a lot of the Halo fans are gonna be like, okay, we're gonna watch this now, and then we're just gonna be like, oh, playing Halo. Oh, what's this? Oh, that's an awesome part.
Using the Snapchat or Snap thingamabobber, you'll have them both going at the same time. Yeah, we had Forza. What do you think of that one there? Forza 5, the new racing game.
That looked really cool.
Well, I think one of the things that they say about sports games is that sports games are good games to kind of show off, but racing games are like the easiest way to make a console look really good. And I think that Forza is going to look fantastic on the next Xbox or at Xbox One. Gotta keep saying it, Xbox One. It's hard to get used to. And then lastly, we've got Call of Duty Ghost. Now, you've never played a Call of Duty game before, right?
No.
You've been a fan from the distance because you've wanted to play them, right?
Yeah.
And
I've actually kind of like, I was like, I'm not sure if I want to play this.
So, what about Call of Duty Ghosts, though? Does that look interesting to you, or
that looks really interesting?
Because I think that was the best trailer of the conference. Do you agree with that, or?
Yeah.
Because they did show some good stuff there. What do you think? It looks pretty. Like, is that something that you definitely want to check out or try and check out when it comes out? Because I know it's going to be coming out for Xbox One. It'll be also coming out for PS4 and stuff. Is that a game that interests you from this? Because I don't really think out of the other games, Forza was probably the most interesting, or do you think Call of Duty Ghosts is the most interesting to you?
I think Call of Duty is better. Is like more interesting. I definitely like how it's like the trailer, how it's like got a little backstory in it.
Yeah.
Like they've still holded on to that.
They got rid of Modern Warfare and they're moving on to something new. Yeah.
Like I also like they hold it on to the ghost things. I don't know what they're called.
Yeah. So the idea behind that is the idea that these are people that are now fighting in the shadows in a lot of ways. That they're not the strong force. They're the ones that are fighting guerrilla warfare, which means they're coming and attacking by surprise in smaller numbers, but trying to get back. And obviously something's gone wrong, and you're fighting as a ghost. And you got the balaclava on, which is the mask with the ghost face on there. So, yeah. So final thoughts. Xbox One. What did you think overall? No rating or anything like that. Just like, where's your interest level at? Are you excited to see more E3? Where are you feeling with this Xbox? And comparatively to the PS4, what's your excitement level?
I think the Xbox kind of like said, like of like worldwide and online, they more talked about that, and the special like add-ons where you can do like Xbox on and then shit on. But the PlayStation 4 talked a little bit more about the gameplay in a way, I think.
Talking about the games, kind of what the system's about a bit more.
That's what I really wanted out of all of this.
So that makes you more interested in that. But I think we should definitely wait and see as well for E3, because both these guys are going to come out, and by guys I mean Sony and Microsoft. They're going to come out with more games, more info, and we're going to really have a good idea of what these consoles are going to be about.
Yeah.
Excited to see more?
Yep.
All right. Until then, though, this has been Landon, and maybe we'll have him on again. But thanks for coming on and telling us what you think of the Xbox One. And with that said, guys, that's the end of the episode for this week. We'll be back next week with the regular show and talk a little bit more about the Xbox One at that point, as there's probably going to be a lot more to discuss there as well. And we'll talk about all the other news going on and get ready for E3 on top of that too. You can email us questions at checkpointachieved@gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter and at YouTube at Brydo, BRYDO0. Also, we'll have a question of the week up. I'm not too sure what that'll be as of yet. Wait to see maybe a little bit more about the information coming out about the Xbox in the coming days. Then we'll formulate something to ask you guys for next week's show. Until then, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on episode 15.